Max Fried, I feel like, is always in that kind of cut in that same sort of way where he doesn't necessarily get the love of some of the other pitchers. Although I think he is getting it this year, because not a huge strikeout guy, not a like he throws hard, but he doesn't throw 100.
Yeah, no, that's a great comp to Max Fried. And, we're talking guys that are not exciting. They're not going to get you 250 strikeouts. It's not a Garrett Crochet type thing. You're not going to have a sub-1 whip, right? But you need those innings guys. You need that base of stats. And if you pair one of those with a top guy or even with, anyone there, you're going to have a solid rotation. I mean, I took him in an OLAC a couple weeks ago as my SP3. I'm just excited to have that.
Yeah, I would be too. That was, pre-signing, so that worked out pretty well. So yeah, absolutely. I like that there. And I think it's the other thing is maybe because they're not quite max effort, because they're not quite, total burners. That also means they throw a lot of innings, like you alluded to earlier. 192 last year, 176 the year before, 198, 201, and 134 when the first year he became a full-time starter. But the thing is, that's just regular season innings. This is the first year he's coming off a year where he didn't have postseason innings.
Right. So maybe he's got a little bit more in the tank. Yep. I'd say that as long as he does not double cross his catcher like he did in Houston that game. I think you should be great. Tigers, I think, have a lot to look forward to. I mean, I'm assuming that the Tigers, if they're in it, will keep Skubal for the rest of the year. You don't know. Did they get Framber for insurance in case they want to trade Tariq? I don't know. But if they do get to the postseason, I mean, you can't think of a better 1-2 punch to have at the top there.
Agreed. And I agree with you. I don't think they trade Skubal at all now, even though they lost the arbitration hearing with him and are paying him $32 million this year. I think they know that this is probably last year of Tariq Skubal because he's a Boris client and Boris likes to take him to free agency, and they're probably not going to win a bidding war. Stranger things have happened. It could happen. They landed Framber this way. Who loses out? I know there's some news about, Reese Olson not being ready for the start of the season. There's, the fantasy baseball community has a lot of Trey Melton fans out there, but they also have some other options like Grant Anderson, who they just signed this offseason as well. So they have options. Kiter Montero, for crying out loud. But I tend to think that you look at what Detroit does there. Olson's not going to be ready for the start of the season, so I think Troy Melton will be the guy that stays in the rotation for now. And it wasn't Grant Anderson. Drew Anderson is who I was thinking of, who signed from the KBO. But they have some other options there. Obviously, Flaherty and Mize are going to be staying in the rotation.
Yep. No, I think you're right. And I think what this does is it actually helps out the bullpen because he gives you innings, he gives you length, so you don't have to go to that bullpen. And by the way, that's a heck of a bullpen. You got a bunch of relief pitcher options that have closer experience with Kenley and with Finnegan and with Vest. So that's a loaded bullpen, and now they're going to have some length in their starters.
Right.
So yeah, I'm happy about that.
Perfect segue to my next topic, Kenley Jansen. Comment from AJ Hinch is that they have a number of guys that can get saves. Number one will probably, but we all know there's one guy chasing a historical number. He's going to get the first dibs in Kenley Jansen. But you mentioned they've got Finnegan, they've got Vest. Both have had their moments with Detroit, and Hinch likes to mix and match. At least he has, as his tenure as a Detroit Tigers manager at the very least. How do you see that bullpen playing out?
Well, you're going to give Kenley the first shot. I mean, he's the veteran, and he can get the job done. He was fantastic last year, sub-3 ERA. So he's definitely the guy. But I think that Vest is an underrated asset. I think that if they did not have Kenley, they'd be absolutely fine with going to him. And Finnegan, again, with experience. The closer role is about experience. It's about the moment, and you have that. The lefty in the bullpen is Tyler Holton, so he's going to be the mix and match with the lefties. You're not going to see him close, but he's going to come in whenever you have those lefties. And that's pretty much that's the top four, I think, of the bullpen.
This year's closer pool is kind of unique. I was listening to Eric Halterman and Jason Collette the other day talking about the Tigers because I think Jansen needs 3 saves to get to third all time on the saves list there. After that, all bets are kind of off. But, there's not that many closers that are firmly cemented in their job. I feel like this is becoming a continuing trend where fewer and fewer teams are using that one capital C closer. And some don't even have a lowercase c closer. I think we got like 17 or 18 or so that I feel like we're locked in with the job right now.
Yeah, I played in Olac the other night, and closer prices were absolutely ridiculous. We're talking 27, 26, 25,
Oof.
$24 in an auction for the top, I don't know, 10 closers. I got David Bednar, maybe the 10th closer at $23. It was you got to pay to play. NFBC owners who are obviously the season starts in over a month from now, they don't want to chance it. I mean, the bottom of the closer pool is awful. Do you want Victor Vodnik as your closer? I don't know.
Never Rocky. Never
No.
Rocky.
Do you want Robert Garcia? What's the situation in the Angels bullpen? Stevenson, Yates, who knows? Do you want a Washington bullpen guy? I don't know. There's so many question marks, and there isn't a top guy. And then you have teams like the White Sox, Sir Anthony Dominguez, who probably is the guy, but how many wins are the White Sox going to have?
Right.
So if you're playing fantasy right now, with the uncertainty before you have spring training and before some closer situations clean out, you're going to have players pay up. We're talking second, third round, fourth round for any top closer. I don't know. What's your feeling on that, Jeff? If you're in a draft, and you want a top closer, you're going to have to pay. Is that something where, you got to zig when everybody's zigging, or do you say, I'm not paying that top price, I'll have to chance it and fill it in on the waiver wire?
Yeah, I think that, and Uncle Ted was asking in the comments the same sort of question there. And I think it depends on a couple different things. Are you in a 12 teamer or in a 15 teamer when it comes to or what sort of player pool are you dealing with there? Because how likely are you to be able to nail the replacement pool? I mean, it's not as easy as it sounds if you're in a 15 team mixed league or in an only environment. If you're in a 12 team mixed league, yeah, I think you've got a better chance of being able to. But how much ground do you have to make up there too? Historically, it's shown that you need at least like 60 saves or so to be competitive in the saves category, especially if there's an overall component. If you're playing NFBC, you just really punting strategies don't really work very well for an overall prize. You need to be at least competitive in the saves category. So do you think you can get 50 saves off the waiver wire or even 30 saves off the waiver wire? Good luck. I mean, and that means you're spending a good chunk of your fab budget on that. And you're not swinging big on a Nick Kurtz. You're not swinging big on someone else. And, sometimes swinging big doesn't work. I mean, and maybe that's the right call, but there's plenty of instances there where, you spend a lot of time, you chase the wrong guy. Sometimes there's stats dictate that one guy should be the guy, but the manager says, no, this guy's done it before. We're going to go that way for a while. And it's not always the same thing. It's a tough call.
Yeah, and then you're going to have the situations like in Tampa where they're probably going to use a multitude of relievers. So, you're not going to get that lockdown closer. You're right. It is a question of the format you play. It's also the question of how you play fantasy. If you're someone that is very good at scouring the waiver wire, then you can err on the side of you don't need that lockdown closer. You can fish for it, churn and burn, take a guy who, hey, he got a save the other day, or, he's up to the 8th inning. Take a chance. If you're somebody like me who tries not to play the waiver wire and tries to hold it out for what you can, you might want the lockdown closer to get that certainty. So it's all about your style of play, the format you're in. We can only give you some guidelines.
Absolutely. And maybe it's even like, what are you good at fabbing for that matter too? Are you reading Ryan Roof here at Rotowire? Are you reading Greg Jewett? Are you reading whoever your favorite go-to guy is, Doug Dennis on Baseball HQ, whoever it is, Ariel Cohen, whatever he's talking about closers. Are you feel more comfortable fabbing closers? That's great. But guess what? Sometimes teams don't have that one guy that is replacing the closer. Also, sometimes they choose to go committee the rest of the way. So, I mean, just witness Minnesota last year after they traded Durant. There wasn't that one guy. St. Louis was at least had a couple of guys, but it was still frustrating trying to chase down those saves. If you had Romero one week, it was great. If you had, O'Brien another week, okay, well, sorry, tough break. And so that's always tough too. It's great if you can get the right guy, and you get Emilio Pagan in late April. Congratulations, you nailed it. Good on you.